Happy New Year. For some of us, it's actually New Year's Eve, and we want to start the new year right. So if God wills and we cross over, there are some things that we want to discuss and make sure we have in order. Now, a problem we have, many of us, for those in the diaspora, people in their 30s, 40s, moving up, is that we need cash, whether it's to send children to university or grandkids you want to contribute to their lives or health, for even downsizing. Sometimes you need more money. But the problem we find is that we don't have access to liquid cash. And that may be because we have property, but it's on land that doesn't have a title, especially in the Caribbean. And Jamaica I can speak for very well. And if you have that, you have a problem because you are unable to either get a bank loan, or you can't even sell it really, because, or if you do, you have to sell it at a much lower cost because it's unregistered, all these kind of things. So we're going to cut that out. The purpose of this video is to ensure that moving on to the new year, we get our paperwork in order. And for this one, we're dealing with land. I will be looking down because I'm going to be looking at, as I go through, I'm going to be telling you the stages and the steps for which you can transfer land in Jamaica. And I was looking, I've done this process myself, and this cannot be done in one video. So I'll have to have a series of videos talking about the different ways. For the purpose of this video and for not keeping the video so long, we're going to talk about a straightforward version of transfer. And a straightforward version would be mama, papa, uncle, brother, sister has decided to give you land. Shout out to them. And so the land is titled, and I'll show you a copy of the title here. Title must be on that yellow or white document, proper title. And so once they have that and they're deciding to give you all the land, so I'm not talking about a subdivision here because that's a different process. I'll talk about that a bit later on. But they're deciding to give you everything. And so what you would do is you need to get a TR1 form that can be found on the National Land Agency's website. And you'll need a series of supporting documents. But the TR1 form is a form that tells the National Land Agency that this person is gifting me property. It says gifting, transfer, however you want to do it. So if it's gifting, it's important that you tick the box on gifting, because it means you're giving it for free, for not a charge, and that will stipulate what you pay in terms of transfer tax. So it's important that you fill it in correctly. Secondly, this form must be filled in the presence of a JP. So if you're in Jamaica, if you're in the Caribbean, you can use JP. If you're in America, you can use Justice of the Peace. In England, not so. You need a notary public, which charges a good amount of money, but that's just how it works. There's no JP system as such there, and so you need a notary public. Another place you can go to in the UK is you could go to the consulate, and if you go to the consulate, it will be a lot cheaper and sign it in their presence. So once you have the TRN form, the other thing you're going to need, you need your IDs, and you certainly need your TRN number. So you're going to need the TRN number for the person transferring it to you, and you also need your own TRN. Again, some people living abroad for many years have no TRN. It's very simple to get a TRN number from the tax office. You can even get it from overseas, or if you're visiting Jamaica, I would say apply for a TRN. You need that. It's like a national insurance number in the UK, similar. Okay. Once you get that, it's also good to get a valuation report. If you don't know the value of the property, you need a valuation report, because what's going to happen is when you submit to the land agency, they are going to look at your valuation, and many times they send down an assessor, whether you're their country or not. They sent an assessor to my property, and there was a difference in about 4 million. It didn't cause any major issues, but they want to know the value of the property and to ensure they can send down an assessor. If you have, I've heard, I don't know, but if you have a valuation done within the last 12 months, they may use that and may not make a visit, but that's at their discretion. They have the right to go and visit to make sure that the valuation ties in with what you are presenting to them, okay? And so once you do that, and you get your valuation, and you submit it to them. They make an assessment. Once they make an assessment, they give you an official assessment of what you owe, okay? That assessment is now taken to the stamp office. And the stamp office is Down Harbour Street, okay, in Kingston. And they don't assess it, they just make sure, examine it, that the 2% tax is right, stamp duties are paid. And when they are satisfied, they stamp the TRN form, and this is now proof to the NLA that they can go ahead and change it. Once you do that, you take it back to them, and in a few weeks' time, you pay the final registration fee, and you should get your land title. No, the NLA does offer a service where you can pay $15,000 and they will check your documents, which I think is very good. I think I've used it. It was okay. There was still errors on it by the time it went to the assessor, but it's a pre-examination of documents, and so they just check that everything is done. And this helps the person who is not using a lawyer. So to be honest, I think it's not a bad thing. So it's called, if you look on the National Land Agency website, under the pre-examination of documents to be lodged, it's called a go-through. And it's a pre-examination that helps people to check their application before it goes in. So all that is good. So that is what you need for a straightforward transfer of land title. That's it. That's it. It can be done by yourself. If you want to use a lawyer, if you're overseas and you don't have anyone to help, when I was overseas, I had someone to help me, luckily. So I didn't have to use it for that. But I've used lawyers for many other things to do with land matters in Jamaica, and they're good. And some of them will charge you 4% of the, let me just check, 4%. Some of the quotes that I have here is 4% of the value of the transfer, okay? They will charge you, and then they will charge you another amount for getting the bearers to go to Kingston with the paperwork and all these things. So you have your choice. So I would say, if you are in Jamaica for a period of time, or you frequent Jamaica a lot, I think you can do it on your own. I think you can gather the documents, you can get the pre-check, and the National Land Agency, respect to them. They help me a lot. I am not going to diss them in none at all. Because, yes, are they bureaucratic? Yes. Like most things in the Caribbean, they are bureaucratic. They want every dot, T, cross, all these kind of things. But it's a process you can do by yourself. As if you're frequenting a lot, you could save yourself 4% of the value of the property. And let's talk about it. Property in Jamaica is not cheap anymore as it used to, where you just buy a piece of land for 500,000, you know, we are woy. That's not there again, right? They're costing in their millions, and even so, when you calculate it into US, or it's still 50, 60, 70,000 pounds. So when we look at all that, if you can indeed do the process yourself, I would do that. And it's there, and it's, you know, within 6-8 weeks, it can be done. It can be wrapped up. It's not something that takes months and months and months. Mine took months and months and months, because I was using someone was helping me, and so they had to go and do all kind of something, go up and down for me, and so, but big up and self and respect, and it come true. But if you can do it, if you are there, you can do it yourself, and you'll save some money. However, if that's not the case and you want to go through, get a lawyer. I would ask the lawyer how much the experience they have with the transferring. Some are better than some. Some sit down on your paperwork, how long. But if you have some, my lawyer, them, I respect them to the ground where they walk on. They are so professional. And so if you do have a professional lawyer who gets this in, go ahead and use them, okay? But one thing, the whole aim of this is to make sure that the land comes in your name. So there you have it. That is a straightforward version of if you want to put property in your name that has been gifted to you and it has a land title. And I will put the summary right here for you, okay? So respect, big up yourself, one love.